Welcome back, everyone. It is another day in the life of a military wife, and I am so excited to announce that we are now available. This podcast is now available on Google Podcast, which is a new development. We're still trying to get onto some other platforms, but we are available on Spotify and Google Podcast as of right now. So those are the major distributors that we have. Also, the main topic for today is going to be April and how it is the month of the military child. What does that mean? When was it established? Just different facts and information about it. I don't know how many people even are aware outside of the military that April is dedicated to military children. So this might be a completely new thing for you, and that's fine. I will share some stories and insights, of course, being as a mom of military children, and some just general information about what military children go through, as well as some fun things that are available for them in the community this time of year. So with that, this is A Life of a Military Wife, and I am your host, Sam Wolf. All right, everyone, let's purple up. Or at least that's a phrase that's used sometimes during April in the month of the military child. So the color that has been chosen to represent is purple. And I'm totally fine with that because I absolutely love the color purple. It's one of my favorites. I don't really know why purple was chosen to represent military children and the month of the military child, but I do know that it is the official color. And one of the encouragements I found on the DoD website was to wear purple in support of military children. So I wear purple anyway. I guess I always support military children. I have some, so I guess, yeah. Anyway, but that is part of what has been established. But anyway, to the actual history of how this came to be. It was established in 1986 by the then Secretary of Defense, Caspar Weinberger. And I am going to be completely honest. Again, disclaimer, my pronunciation of names is atrocious. But anyway, Weinberger was the Secretary of Defense as well as a veteran. He had served in the Army during World War II. And after spending several years as Secretary of Defense and having been in the military himself, he understood the strain that military service can place on family members, specifically children, and decided to go about celebrating children and recognizing the contribution that they make to our armed forces' ability to do their job. Yeah. Anyway, as of 2019, 36% of all military members had children, and 74% of those children were under the age of 11. So there is a lot of military children currently in military families, but there is a lot of people in the United States who grew up with their families in the military. There's quite a few families I know who are one-and-doners. They were in for a while when their kids were little and have since gotten out because of the strain it put on their families. And that's not an uncommon situation. So there's a lot of kids that this applies to, either currently or has applied to in the past. As of 2019, there were 34,472 active duty service members that had their first child that year. And of them, half were under the age of 25. So quite a few of these are really young families. Most of them are in their 20s. Most of them have only 1 or 2 kids, sometimes 3. But there's a lot of young moms and with kids, and their husbands are gone a lot. Sorry for the background noise. My puppy is in the room and decided to snore. So if you hear that, I'm apologizing right now. I do have a real life, and sometimes it intrudes with what I do. But back to the topic at hand. Of all these young families that I was talking about, there was a basic, and this came out in 2014, 2016-ish. It was a while ago, but there was some research studies put out that since 2001, more than 2 million American children have had a parent deployed at least once. Many of these deployments, especially during the height of Operation Iraqi Freedom and the war in Afghanistan, could be as long as 15 months. That is a really long time for kids to be away from their parents. Some families, and not a huge percentage, but a significant number of families, have both the husband and the wife, both parents, in the service. And so there has been instances where both parents have deployed at the same time and the children have had to go live with other family members. And that is a very tough situation for little children. I know that in my family's particular case, our youngest, I think so far, my husband has only been home for one birthday in his entire life. And that's not uncommon. It really does happen quite a bit. As you can imagine, with all of these separations and everything that takes place, it really can take a toll on the children. When they spend the first several years of their lives barely seeing their parents because they're gone, it's difficult for them to build those relationships. And when the children do have the blessing of having a really strong relationship, it's hard to have them gone and know that they are in a place that isn't safe. Most deployed areas are not safe areas. And even if the soldier is in or naval or airman or whatever, if the military member has a relatively safe job, anything can happen. And the kids do know that. They're very aware of that. And it can cause a lot of stress and anxiety. Another research study that was done showed that children in military families experience higher rates of mental health trauma and other related problems. And that is true. I've seen anxiety and all sorts of other things in military kids. But at the same time, they're very resilient. It's not easy what they go through. But at the same time, they do it really well. They do it with a lot of grace. I know in our family's case, our youngest, he spent a lot of his really young growing up without my husband around. And there was one period of time where he was gone, my husband, for a year. And because he was so little, our youngest son didn't really know who it was that we would be talking to on a video call. He didn't know who this person was. And so when my husband came back, they had to completely reestablish a relationship. He had to figure out who Daddy was. But thankfully, he had older siblings who knew who Daddy was. And so he was able to bounce back and, come to terms with who is this person in our house now. But I know our oldest, when my husband was in basic, he got to come home for block leave. And I remember dropping him back off, and our oldest was only about a year at the time, and dropping my husband off at the airport and having to drive away. My son was 1 year old, and he was so angry with me because he couldn't understand why we had taken Daddy to some place and driven off and left Daddy there and never went back to get him. And he was really, really upset. And that's not something you can really explain to a 1 year old. As they get older, you can help them talk through and work through their feelings and what's going on. But like I said in the initial explanation, and that's one reason why I threw out a lot of those numbers, most military children are elementary age kids, and they're young elementary school. Like I said, 70 whatever percent, 74% are under the age of 11. Most of those children are actually preschool age or kindergarten age and younger. So these are really little kids. They don't always have the vocabulary to express their feelings, and helping them to understand that they're not alone really does make a huge difference. We had the blessing in one of the places that we lived, the school district in the month of April, to celebrate the month of the military child, would throw, and this was pre-COVID, and this was years and years ago, but they would throw a party for all of the kids in the school district who were military children. And that included, I think, veterans too, not just active duty, but it was so much fun. Most of the kids that came, and my husband was gone. This was during that time period where my husband was gone. So I had 3 really, really little, I had little kids at the time. And we went, and it was mostly little kids there. It was mostly elementary kids and their parents. And they had a nice dinner and that little dance party. They put on kid tune, Kid Bops or something. Anyway, kid-friendly, Disney songs, and the kids were just dancing all night, and it was just this huge thing just to celebrate them. And my husband had just been gone, just barely started that current stretch of being away. And for them to get together with a whole bunch of other kids who understood what they were going through, who understood what it was like to have mommy or daddy gone for a long period of time and not know if they were going to be okay, and just have a chance to be a kid and have fun. It meant so much to them. And to this day, I am so grateful to that school district for putting that on. And they did it every single year. And we could have gone several times, but I didn't go because I had super little kids or brand new baby. And I wish I had now. I wish I had taken more of an opportunity for that. On top of it, the school district had a person assigned to each school, and their whole job was to keep track of the military families, help them find resources and support, and just make sure that they, keep track of deployments and all these other things that were going on in their lives to make sure that they had what they needed so these children could succeed. And I think that was just incredible that they went so above and beyond. And there are a lot of school districts that do things like this for the military children, that understand that they have a different set of needs and a different set of concerns. And because they move so often, knowing that someone cares, knowing that there's a level of continuity, that they've got someone they can talk to, is huge for these kids. Military families move 10 times more frequently than other families. And I know that when we got to our most recent duty station, my oldest asked if he could please go to the same school 2 years in a row. That's all he wanted, was to go to the same school 2 years in a row. That's not much to ask, but so few military children actually get that luxury. And if they do get that luxury, very rarely do they have their whole family, both parents, there the whole time. I can't count how many times my husband has missed birthdays and holidays and anniversaries and family vacations. There's so many things that he has not been home for, and the kids recognize when he's gone. So making it possible for them to feel an extra bit of love and connection, I think is just great. I really do love all of the stuff that happens in the month of April for military children. And I want to start sharing some fun things now, because this has been kind of really deep, me sharing life experiences, kind of me talking all about myself and my family. But I want to share some fun things. So if you know military children, if you have children and you are in the military, here are some fun things to look forward to in the month of April. So the exchange, the military exchange, which is like the department store that the military has teamed up with Hasbro, Play-Doh, and some other companies. And they are going to, Nerf. Nerf was the other one. My kids love Nerf guns and everything. Nerf. But anyway, they've teamed up, and if you go to the exchange's website or their Facebook page, they have information about different deals and things that they're going to be doing this month with those companies, as well as the National Museum of American Sailors is going to be doing its brick by brick, Great Lakes event. I guess normally they do this event in partnership with Lego in person. However, I did not know about this event, mostly because I've never lived in the Great Lakes. Okay. Not close enough for this to have been applicable. But anyway, they do a building demonstration for Legos, and normally it's in person, like I said, but this year, and I guess last year, due to COVID, it's on YouTube. And the great thing about it being on YouTube is they've got these Lego building tutorials on YouTube, and they're really awesome. They're building a Blue Angels airplane and a ship and some other stuff. But anyway, I've already looked into it. My kids were super excited about it. My kids all love Legos. They all love Legos. And so I thought that was really cool that Lego had, and I don't know how many years they've done this. I probably should have looked that up. But that it was really cool that the Lego had teamed up with the National Museum of American Sailors to do this. I know that the Army Joint Chief, yes. Oh, my husband is going to roll his eyes when I butcher this. But anyway, the Joint Chief of the Army, or the head of the Joint Chief of Staff for the Army, I know there's quite a few military people rolling their eyes that I'm butchering this, but you know what? Whatever. Moving on. He got on with Elmo and made a really cute little video and I will have it in the links, but about what resilience means for the military kids and for the month of the military children. So that one I thought was super cute. It's really short, but resiliency is important. And again, who doesn't love Elmo? I think he's adorable, but that's just me. Anyway, there's a lot of different other things that schools and communities can do. If you want to get involved, there is going to be links in the description from the DoD's webpage and other web pages on suggestions and things that you can do for military children who are in your community. And there are a lot of just, different ways. Again, easiest one, wear purple. And other ones, just, give them a card, say thank you. Children love balloons. Our neighbor would make my kids a cake. Kids love cake. They just love cake. And anyway, just tell them thank you. Thank you for being willing to share your mommy or daddy with our country. And I guarantee that'll put a smile on their face. These kids are so brave, and their sacrifice is so important. They are giving up their childhood. They're giving up birthdays. They're giving up holidays. They're giving up family vacations with their parent so that our country can be free, so that our country can be safe, so that people who have experienced natural disasters can have the help they need. And you know what? It's worth it to say thank you to them, to recognize what they're doing for our country. And I'm really proud of the military kids I know. Most of them are just really sweet, fun kids. And I have noticed with my kids being at a military school, no, not an actual military school, but a school on a military installation, which I should clarify because there's a big difference between the two. The kids at the school on a military installation tend to be super outgoing and super friendly because there's kids coming and going all the time. And so they have to learn to just make friends, and they have to learn to just reach out and love each other. And I think that is a lesson that as adults we could definitely remember in our lives, is to just be willing to get to know someone. Just be willing to open our arms and be friends and not judge and get to know someone before, we decide how we feel about them. And that is a characteristic I think is very common in at least the military children I've met, is that they just want to be friends. They just want to get along. And I think that's kids in general. I think there's a saying, it's everything I needed to know in life I learned in kindergarten. And if you watch kindergartners and preschoolers, they really are very loving, open, kind individuals. And I think we could all learn a lot and apply, if we applied those things in our lives and were more loving to the people around. Just be kind. That would make a huge difference in our world. So, that said, I have really rambled on, and thank you for listening to it all. Wrapping up today's episode, I just want to again say a huge shout out to everyone who has subscribed, given feedback, shared their stories and information. Huge thank you to all of the companies and organizations that are doing things to support military children. And a thank you to Google Podcasts for finally getting back to me and letting us know that we are now on Google Podcast. But anyway, wrapping it up finally, like the very last thing I want to say is, if you know a military child or have someone in your family who is in the military and has children, do something this month. Call them, video call them, talk to them, find out what it's like for them. Listen to them. Children love to be heard. So my challenge for all y'all is to reach out, share your love and support for the military children in your life or in your community. And if not, if that's not something you can do because you don't know any, wear purple. And when someone asks you why you're wearing purple, say it's in support of the month of the military child. Enough said. I am your host, Sam Wolf, and this is The Life of a Military Wife. Thank you so much for listening.